Today we're going to embark on a journey to really find out who is the famous Victor Bout. As you know in the news, Brittany Griner, the world-famous basketball star, was detained in Russia for drugs. And recently in 2022, there was a prisoner exchange with the Russian infamous arms dealer Victor Bout. If you've seen the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage in 2005, you're very well aware of the situation, as that movie was based on his life. And if you haven't, well, get ready, because we're going to go into something very detailed about what's really going on here. Now, here are 11 things you should know about Victor Bout, the infamous Merchant of Death. Was he really a villain, just like they made him out to be? Well, all I want to let you know is that the Russians really wanted him back on their homeland. First off, just in case you didn't know, he speaks 5 different languages. Victor Bout, in the Russian army, joined at the age of 18. He held a degree in many foreign languages, and what did these include of? French, Persian, Arabic, English, and Portuguese. Even though many people are rumored to say he speaks, just 5 languages, many say he speaks about 15 different languages. 5 of those are officially confirmed. Now, what is it that's really bad about it? I'm sure all of you have heard this about the possible World War III between the US and Russia that took place in the 80s and 90s. Well, as you know, the Cold War eventually didn't play out too well for the Russians, as their country couldn't maintain the arms race with America. Due to a surplus of weapons and guns, even planes, Victor had inside connections and was able to get access to many different weapons. He had access to military planes left on the airfields, and after the famous collapse of the Soviet Union in 1990, he had been known to sell weapons directly and indirectly to rebel terrorists, such as Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and the famous Rwanda massacre. Worst of all, the United Nations named him an associate to Liberian President Charles Taylor, who was convicted in 2012 of charges in aiding and abetting war crimes during the Sierra Leone Civil War. And media reports say he armed both sides of the Angolan Civil War. Can you imagine someone arming both sides? Now, as famous as he is in the United States, they actually captured Victor Bout in 2008 in a top-secret sting operation. While on a trip to Thailand, Victor Bout tried sneakily to sell weapons to a DEA agent. The agent tricked Bout that these weapons should be used to murder American pilots. And in response, Victor Bout stated, "Don't worry, we have the same enemy." As a result, he was arrested at that moment. Bout claimed he was just an entrepreneur with a legitimate international transport business, and he had been wrongly accused. Bout, at trial, told the jury in a New York court he didn't believe, any of this was true, but unfortunately, the jury didn't believe him. And the U.S. sentenced him in 2008 in federal court to conspiracy charges, selling weapons to a terrorist, and was handed a fierce 25-year prison sentence that put him away for good. Slowly, the word spread, and British Prime Minister Peter Hain nicknamed Bout the evil Merchant of Death. And his reputation in 2013 was obviously ruined. If you've ever seen the movie Lord of War, it's about the infamous Victor Bout. This story was so twisted that Hollywood decided to make it into a film. And if you pay attention, the 2005 film by Andrew Niccol does an amazing job at portraying an arms dealer who's constantly on the run from Interpol agents all around the world. Victor Bout's wife, Alla, which he has been married to since 1992, are very low profile and prefer to stay out of the limelight. In the movie Iron Man, filmed in 2008, Tony Stark is also referred to as the Merchant of Death for many of the same comparisons. Both of them are rich, they have strong connections, access to technology, and, as we all know from the movie, dangerous weapons that obviously shouldn't be in the hands of the public. In 2008, it was stated that Russians and President Putin were considering a trade for Victor Bout for the famous Marine Corps veteran Paul Whelan, another individual who was arrested in Russia for spying. The talks began and even started to get a lot of momentum, but never fell through. As well as 2022, Russia claimed that Brittany Griner, the famous Women's National Basketball League star, arrested for marijuana possession, is a possible trade for Victor Bout. Although the Russians tried to say that the US citizens will not be exchanged for trading purposes, their actions were obviously different.